Hello, BookTube. This is going to be a weird, nostalgia-fueled, and probably impossible book haul to film. Because I've already tried to film this book haul several times, and it just does not want to work. Anyway, so I have recently become obsessed with the idea of revisiting some novels in verse that I read as a student 20 plus years ago. These works are going to be drawn from two poetry classes that I took, one being Modern American Poetry, and the other being, I think the class was Modern Epic. But it was one of those classes that aren't usually on the class rotation. It was just basically the class where the professor who's teaching it can do whatever the hell they want for that class. And the professor chose 4 novels in verse or modern epics. So, over the years after I took those classes, I did get rid of these books. And as has become a common refrain with me lately, I have sorely kicked myself in the butt for having done that. And I have, over the years, re-added some of them back to my collection. And so, I recently added 2 more books from these 2 classes to my collection, and I'm going to haul them today, as well as talk about the other books I had in these classes, 2 of which will be joining the 2 that I'll be hauling today in this project next year. But I'm going to start with the one that is not going to be included, and that is Selected Poems by William Carlos Williams. This was the first of 3 texts that I read for the Modern American Poetry class. There are selections from Paterson in this collection, and I am tempted to add or re-add Paterson to my collection to sort of add some more work for this possible project next year. And I will be placing this in a separate from the hauled books. The first of the hauled books for this video is, so after Selected Poems, we read an anthology of modern American poetry edited by J.D. McClatchy. And then we ended the class with this novel in verse, The Folding Cliffs by W.S. Merwin. An enthralling epic narrative of 19th century Hawaii from one of our major poets. The story of an attempt by the American government to seize and constrain possible victims of leprosy and on one small Hawaiian family's determination not to be taken. Merwin follows the family through the perils and glories of their flight into the wilds of the island of Kauai. So now I have 3 of the 4 books from the Modern Epic class, starting in publication order. Omeros by Derek Walcott, which is a retelling of the some stories from the Iliad and recentering them on the island of St. Lucia. So, and I've had this one back in my collection for a number of years. The second one being Autobiography of Red by Carson. This is a retelling of the story of Gerion from the 12 Labors of Heracles. And the second book that I'm hauling for this haul is Freddy, Neptune by Les Murray. When German-Australian sailor Friedrich Freddy Butcher is shanghaied aboard a German Navy battleship at the outbreak of World War I, the sight of frenzied mobs burning Armenian women to death in Turkey causes him, through moral shock, to lose his sense of touch. This mysterious disability, which he knows he must hide, is both protection and curse during much of his life, as he orbits the high horror and low humor of a catastrophic age. Freddy's picaresque life as both leper and Superman is deep-dyed in irony, yet is shot through with the clarity of epiphany. Freddy Neptune, praised internationally as a modern epic, is an astonishing addition to Les Murray's acclaimed body of work. So, very happy to have this back in my collection. And so I have one more book to pick up, and that is Time's Fool by Glyn Maxwell. Unless I decide to add like Paterson and Kane by Gene Toomer, also to my collection. So anyway, so do a quick Steve Pyramid. These are the two new acquisitions, The Folding Cliffs and Freddy Neptune. So anyway, BookTube, I will be back tomorrow and see if I can finally do some tag videos again. So until then, BookTube, thank you and have a great afternoon.